Mental health. My passion and my ambition for life itself and for my general career. Something I long to make easier for every human on the planet, and something I strive to help. To support with all my willpower and to give it my best shot at making sure that the most little amount of people on the earth suffer from mental health problems. It's no easy mission, and don't get me wrong, 99% of that's probably not even possible. But I'm gonna give it a fucking good go. But this week, my ambitions, my strive, my abilities and my general curiosity to learn and achieve have been made even bigger and have been supported by the entire globe. Because this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Focus the Future channel. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I hope we're all happy, jolly and coping with lockdown. I'm sorry I didn't release the Fun Sundays this Sunday. Things just got a bit messy and yeah, life just didn't go as planned, as it sometimes does. So yeah, that's why thing didn't go up. I plan to try and record a Fun Sundays ahead of time, so that mistake doesn't happen again, because my Sundays are generally quite chaotic anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna try and prevent that happening again, but I'm sorry for yesterday, you know, I couldn't help it. Anyway guys, I hope we're all well, I hope we're all safe, I hope we're all striving to improve our mental health. Today is quite a relatable video, quite a special video actually. Because we're talking about Mental Health Awareness Week and how you can make this week... Shut up, computer. Make this week all about your mental health and improving it in several different ways. So, if you're looking for some inspiration during this week to strive you to improve your mental health, and if you're generally interested in the entire subject, please make sure you're staying tuned. If not, please go up there and use the video link to learn a bit more about me. Apart from that, let's jump into this very interesting video. I was trying to figure out a word then and see what happens. Now, there are people all over the world who suffer from conditions that generally have ruined their life, put them in a position where they feel like they will never be so-and-so happy again. And I think that for them people, it's very hard to reach out for help and to get the support they need to come out of this swirling hole of pure unhappiness. Because the world, it used to, a lot before, it's getting better now, didn't really used to take mental health very seriously. And actually, it was probably one of the more severe sides of health in general. Mental health was kind of pushed to the side as like something that someone was making up or just, you know, trying to exaggerate to get attention. But people didn't actually think there were conditions behind it. They didn't understand that these people couldn't help how they felt. And they actually needed someone to come along and support them. Since then, however, since all that time ago when human beings used to think like that, people have learned that mental health is a big thing. And that's why the week we are currently in is alive. Pretty much why it's here. Because the world, and I think every country on the planet, really wants you to think about the fact that there are people out there who are genuinely struggling right now. And probably even more nowadays than they were before because of all this lockdown business. But there are people out there who, you know, are sitting here right now, probably watching this video, and thinking to themselves, I want to die. You know, not as a joke, that's not me trying to take the piss out of suicide. That's me being serious. As much as a lot of you can't imagine it, there are people out there in this world right now who think their life is so bad, so cramped, so full of negativity, to the point where they're like, I would rather die than live on this planet right now. And every time I say that, it's a hit at home. It's a knock on the door. And it makes you appreciate what you do have and the fact that you don't think like that. And I can't imagine what it's like to wake up every morning and think, well, I've got nothing to live for, I want to die. And I'm hoping to most degrees, when I'm actually being serious, which is most of the time, I do support people out there who do feel like that. I make you guys feel like there are people who do understand how you guys feel. And that, you know, you're not alone out there. Because I can tell you now, there are probably more than one type of person who is watching this video right now feeling the exact same thing. And as sad as it is, there is no, you know, one drug to solve all mental health. Sometimes having a mental health condition is so complex to the point where taking drugs doesn't help anymore, or it might help but you don't feel like it, and it can really take its toll on not just people's mental health deteriorating, but on people's physical health, their enthusiasm, their strive to keep going, because they feel like they're in a never-ending cycle of just general depression. And I think this week, and we should think about this every day, but more this week, I think we need to remember these people and really sit here and be thankful that for the most of us, it's not like that. I mean, I think every human on the planet has their own mental health problems. I don't think anyone on this earth is sane, if I'm honest. I think we all have certain levels of anxiety within us. I think we all have certain levels of unnormal, like what is normal nowadays. But for the people who are generally, you know, in the pit of it all, dying at the seams, this week is for them. And I think, you know, you've got to sit here and appreciate all that, because if you were in their shoes, you would want someone to sit here and say, I'm thinking of you. Or, you know, I understand. I mean, the chances are you probably don't understand, because more or less you're in the position of someone who has depression or has anxiety or is just generally unhappy at the moment. You probably don't understand. But saying that to someone or trying to show support for someone does show you care. So, this week, more than ever, I'm encouraging you guys, if you know anyone who suffers from mental health at the moment, go and support them. Go and show them all your love and all your attention, because at the moment, as much as there's much bigger problems going on in the world, mental health is a massive thing, and I think we all need to lift each other up during these times. And I think on a normal mental health week where, you know, coronavirus isn't a thing, it's important to go and support people then, but during lockdown it's probably even more important. So please, right now, you can pause this video, you can stop watching this video if you want. Go and pat someone on the back. Go and show someone who's got a condition some support, some love, because they deserve it more than ever at the moment. Now, I did have a lot more planned for this mental health week. I was gonna make this a massive thing, but, you know, coronavirus come around and it was like, bang, you're not doing that anymore. So I've had to kind of subside, and I'm instead making a video where I sit here and rant at you again. So I am sorry about that. I did have a lot more planned. I was going to try and organise like this massive fundraising event and do a load of different things. But yeah, life doesn't work like that, sadly. As sad as it is, guys. However, I am here to give you some tips on how to support people with mental health problems, how you can, you know, develop yourself, how you can get out of certain struggles that you might have, and generally be here as a bit of a side man for your shoulder while the world crumbles around us. You know, you're going to need someone in your life at some point. Now, I think what I want to get off my chest, and I think what I want to say at first, is that as much as it probably seems to most of you watching right now that, you know, the world is literally going to end, I can't imagine what people feel like who have depression at the moment. Like, it must generally be killing them. At some point, this is going to be over. And things are going to get better at some point. I don't know how, I don't know when, I couldn't give you a date. But at some point, this is going to come to an end, and the world will move on. But I think we need to think of the time we're in currently a bit different. You know, thinking of it like it's the end of the world and like this is never going to end and like, you know, my life is ruined is never going to get you anywhere. You've got to have what we call a growth mindset. You've got to want to improve. Now, I'm not saying if you actually generally are diagnosed with a mental health condition, having a growth mindset is going to cure all your problems, because trust me, it won't. In that case, you do need professionals. You know, you need people who are going to give you the right drugs, the right support to get you out of it. But there are definitely people out there who probably don't have a diagnosed mental health condition, and sometimes just having a bit more of a better outlook on life can improve your life in many ways. Now, by that, I don't mean, you know, thinking positively about everything, because, you know, when a counsellor or therapist tells you to be positive, you sit there and think to yourself, I just don't want to be, okay? Let me live my life, please. I don't want to be positive, and I completely get that. I've been there. What I mean by a growth mindset is wanting to improve yourself. Making it the biggest goal of your entire life. Forget about your job. Forget about your career. Make it your mission to get that head of yours under control and beat whatever you're facing. Sometimes we forget that we have control over ourselves. More importantly, we have control over our own heads. And when you forget this, you think that someone else controls you, and that this magnificent problem going on deep within your brain is uncontrollable. And for some of us, to a certain extent, it is uncontrollable. But for most of us, and for some of us, it's not like that. And there is some form of extent where you can grip onto a hook and take control. As I said in a video that I made before about having control over this, I will leave a link above. Probably the biggest problem within human beings at the moment is that we forget we are human. We forget that we have control over ourselves. And when your brain's battering you, telling you, you know, you shouldn't live, or that's too hard for you, or you shouldn't be able to do that, we just give up, because we're like, well, what's the point? Actually, I'll give you an example of a situation like this. I mean, it's a very stupid situation compared to some, but it's an example. I was, when I decorated my room, if some of you don't know, I redecorated my room recently. I had to get some drawers out at the bottom of my bed because there's drawers attached. And when I took one of them downstairs, one of them broke. Now, I just left it until after I'd redecorated my entire room, but when I had to bring it back up, I needed to fix it. Now, at first, I was like, nah, can't do that. Like, I'm useless in laborious type tasks like that. Like, I can't build something to save my life. But after I actually gave it a go, after I actually tried, I realised that I could do it. And I did do it. I mean, it's not fixed very well, but that's because it is generally completely broken. But to a certain extent, it is fixed. Now, that's what I mean by a negative mindset. That's you thinking, oh, well, that's not possible. I can't do that, man. Well, that is stupidly dumb. And just giving up because you think, oh, well, my brain's told me I can't do it, so I can't do it. But when you actually stop and think, and you're like, well, there's no point not trying, you start to make progress. Now, I'm a person of mental health myself. I'm not the mentaliest, healthiest person on the earth. I don't have severe anxiety, but I do have it. And probably even at the beginning of last year, I was in the pit holes of anxiety, struggling with it each and every day. And my friends will tell you how much that affected me. And the only way I got out of that, and I mean, it's not going to be the same for every mental health illness, I'm trying to adapt what I'm saying to everyone out there, is by remembering that you are you and you have control. I use something which I call, and what my therapist calls, the friend scheme. It's trying to think that your brain is not just a brain, it's your best mate, it's your best friend. It could even be a romantic lover. I mean, that's a bit weird, but it's your best mate, you know, it's your best friend. You've got, and a best friend you have to look after, you have to nurture, you have to give it what it wants to stay with you. Think of your brain that way, and things will slowly start to improve, because instead of just seeing your brain as something that controls you and causes you problems, You see it as something that you've got to look after and nurture, and that you have control over. Negative thoughts are probably one of the biggest problems on the entire planet, and that's why I wanted to cover it in a video in itself. Again, it will be linked above. And most of the time, a lot of our mental health issues have got to do with it, because it's just negative thoughts overloading us. And that's the first stage of taking control, is stopping them. Learning how to think, right, okay, yeah, my brain's like, nah, you can't do that, but realistically I probably can, and there's no point not, so let's just give it a go. So that's my first tip for today. I kind of didn't express that I was giving you tips, but the first tip is think of your brain as your best mate. Nurture it, give it what it wants, and you might start to go somewhere. Second is meditate. You know, sometimes the world just gets a bit too much, and we just all need to switch off and forget humanity even exists, because, you know, humanity's fucked up, and sometimes you just need to take yourself away from that. So meditation helps. I have a video on the channel as well about meditation. Talking to people. Now, this is something I'm going to get slapped for. I can see so many people clicking off the video here and now, because I just said talk to people. Now, a lot of people with mental health issues in itself think that talking to people doesn't help. They're like, well, they don't understand me. They don't see it from my perspective. They can't see how I feel. They can't understand. And that's the frustration, and sooner or later that leads them to not talking to anyone. And I used to think like that. But what I learned is sometimes it's got nothing to do with the fact that they don't understand, they don't get it, they can't feel exactly how we feel, and they never will be able to feel exactly how we feel. But by explaining your story properly, and I don't mean just giving them the light little edges of your story, I mean properly unloading, literally opening the doors and being like, yo, here's my life. Sometimes allows you to see things from another perspective, because that person's going to have an outside perspective of the situation, and they're going to tell you that outside perspective. So sometimes looking at it from that point of view opens your mind up to different ways of solving that problem, and that's all a counsellor or a therapist is ever going to do. They just want you to open up so they can pick apart your problems and give you some enthusiasm and courage to go and solve them, and put you on the right path to solving them. They're never going to click their fingers and just be like, yo, it's over. They're going to set you down and be like, right, okay, here's the resources, here's the skills, go and use them. Obviously, only talk to people you trust and you generally give a shit about. Don't talk to people who you think are going to go and tell everyone about your problems. Only be completely open with the people you generally give a crap about, because otherwise it is going to go wrong. But if it's someone you generally trust and you open up to them, sometimes that can relieve quite a lot of pressure and a lot of problems in itself. And it might just give you a new solution to some of your problems. And I think the most important thing, especially this week, is recognising our achievements, recognising how far you've come. No matter how in a ditch you might be at the moment, remember the fact that at some point in your life you was not in a ditch, and you won't be in a ditch in a couple of weeks' time. And if, you know, you've achieved even bigger things, remind yourself of the fact that you've got the power to overcome so many different problems. The fact that you're even still on this planet and you suffer with a severe mental health issue and you're still going is an achievement. Some people don't even get that far. So I think remembering what we have and what we've achieved can sometimes boost our brain with a dopamine and allow us to see things from that slightly bit more positive point of view. Anyway, guys, I don't really have any more tips. I think the main tips are think of your brain as a friend, meditate, talk to people, and recognise your achievements during this week. I mean, you should really use these tips whenever, but this week more than so. So, what I want you to do before you walk away from this video, smack your phone on your bed and forget about it, I want you to set a target for yourself for this week. What is the one thing you want to add into your life that will help you mentally? Set that as a target for the end of this week and see if you can do it. And then leave it in the comments if you did manage to achieve it or not. But apart from that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure you guys are smashing that like button, making sure you are subscribing for more mental health advice videos. And apart from that, guys, have a great mental health awareness week. I will see you later on in the week anyway. And I will catch you dudes next time. Bye-bye.